Right, so, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, and all further information will come. The brilliant, the wonderful, James Benison.
Fade to black. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to This Is Your Life. Yay! Fantastic. With me, your host, James Benison. What a very special evening we have for you this evening. I'm sure we all remember the show This Is Your Life. Do you all remember it? Yeah. Does anyone not know what it is? Yeah, you youngsters, you're picking up. But basically, there's a few little traditions that we have in This Is Your Life. Basically, whenever you hear the famous song, you have to sing along with the words, "This is your life." Okay? So whenever you hear that, please sing along. Otherwise, it's just me. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight obviously there's a celebrity for every show. Tonight we are no different. So warm up your singing voices as we welcome to the stage our first guest, our notable celebrity, Mr. James Benison. Hello everyone. Hello. Well, that's right. This morning I surprised myself at work with this big red book. I had no idea that I cared so much about me, and I've been preparing this for months. Many people might think that a grown man organising a night where he forces people to do jokes about him might be the most self-indulgent idea in the world. And you'll be right. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, as you'll find out as we go through my life, I've had quite a lot of woe and misery. So I thought I'd surprise myself by inviting all my closest friends and family members along to share tales from my life. Unfortunately, none of them can make it this evening because they had something better to do. Luckily, you guys were available, and that's what's going to happen. Well, I was going to do some banter with the audience, but there's none here. Robin, have you ever met me before?
No, but I've definitely heard your name a few times.
Any fun stories you've heard about me?
No, just fun stories about the people who told me your name.
Good. No fun stories about me tonight. Well, let's not fuck about any longer than we need to. So let's get on with the show as we welcome one of my very best friends in the whole wide room. As I ask myself, do I recognise this voice?
Remember that time in the park? We ate hummus and took the pedal out.
Oh my God! I'm so surprised! It can only be my best friend in the room, Mr. John Lloyd! It's my
So good to see you,
Great to see you, John.
Surprise!
I didn't think you'd come after I invited you yesterday. Oh, thank you.
And nothing better to do on my actual birthday.
Oh, I just forget to mention that. Yeah. Let's all sing that special song. This is my life. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
I'll let you talk about me for some time now.
All right, you go have this one.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys. So I've prepared a little speech, if that's okay. I think perhaps the best indicator of what our dear friend, Mr. Benison, is like, lies in the reaction of the 5 of my friends who recently asked me what I was doing for tonight, my birthday. And upon hearing the response that I was taking part in a themed night run by someone who had set up the theme as a celebration of himself, that all 5 responded, "Oh, how is James?" All 5. I'll point out that only 2 of them were comedians, and one of them doesn't even live in this country. So widespread is tale of the Benison ego. And yes, they all asked after him fondly, remember, how is James? And this entirely sums up this man before us. On paper, this man is a write-off. And yet, we all love him. Who else, I ask you, could attempt to crowdfund their trip to Edinburgh Fringe this year because they've blown all of their money on obscure comic books, tweed and crack cocaine, and then proceed to reach their £1,000 target? Who else but James Benison? Small round of applause there. For having the cheek and nerve to do that, and not donating even 1% to charity. I would like to tell you about the first time I properly met or spent some time with James, and that was at the 2014 Edinburgh Fringe. As I understand, James had funded that year by mugging old ladies down the Chiswick roundabout. James was performing his show, an hour of torturous math-based puns that, against all the odds, received the first of James's 2 favourable Steve Bennett reviews. I'm not sure for how long James filleted Steve. I'm implying he sucked off Steve Bennett for those reviews.
6 minutes.
6 minutes, cool. Myself and 2 other comedians were about to have lunch when we were joined by James and his mother. Now, if you don't know James' mother, she is blind. This is genuinely true, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, being a little tipsy, as I was at the time, and in a bit of a mischievous mood, I was a little nervous, I was a bit worried that I might inappropriately make some kind of joke. I needn't have worried, because in the following hour, James proceeded to make every blind joke ever told in front of his mother. There were too many, alas, we were all gobsmacked by this. There was too many for us, to me to remember any specifics, really. But the one I do remember came after Mrs. Benison asked me, this is all true, asked me if I was also some kind of performer at the Fringe, to which James replied, of course he is, Mum. Why do you think he's been juggling this entire time? He's a flawed man, but a beautiful one. He is James Benison.
Yeah!
All true. And I only had to fork out the last £140 of that Kickstarter campaign to steal the money off my friend. Thanks, guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, where did life begin for James Benison? I was born in the south of England, near the sea. To my mother, name unknown, and to my father, James Benison Sr. When I was 4 years old, my mother and father were tragically killed by an escaped rhinoceros. Following this, I went to live with my 2 aunts on the White Cliffs of Dover, who were lovingly nicknamed Spiker, because she was quite bony, and Sponge, because she was a bit of a chubster. They were very kind to me, and didn't mind at all when I accidentally spilled some radioactive materials on their nearby peach tree and a nest of insects, all of which mutated into gigantic proportions. Through a series of misunderstandings, the insects, now with human-like intellect, accidentally killed my 2 poor aunts by crushing them with a giant peach and kidnapped me, taking me to New York by using birds to carry the peach across the Atlantic Ocean, a feat which still today confuses me, physics, and the team of scientists who study migratory bird patterns. I now live inside the Peaches Stone in Central Park, a house I live into to this very day, despite the lack of running water or electricity. But speaking of giant uncontrollable insects, do I recognise this voice?
Hello, James.
Oh my God! Could it possibly be the woman all the way from over there? That's right! It's Charlie Harrison! I'm crying from surprise! I'll just leave it there.
This guy, yeah, great. Round of applause for James, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for Alistair, ladies and gentlemen. James. James. We're now going to play a game called True or False with James Benison! True or false with James Benison? James got fired from his job at a primary school for getting his bum out. True, well done, well done. True or false with James Benison? Question number 2. James Benison once snogged Declan Kennedy in Edinburgh.
True.
Declan remembers, but James doesn't.
True.
That's false, guys. Keep up, keep up.
Remember it.
You do, he does remember it, that's right. By the way, that one about your getting your bum out at primary school, I told someone about that on the way, and they thought that I said James Benison put a picture of his naked mum on a flyer for Edinburgh, and they weren't surprised.
Yeah.
So, there you go. James Benison refuses to wear a poppy because he thinks that the soldiers that fought in World War I and World War II, and I quote here, were annoying. It's true, ladies and gentlemen, it's true.
Can't afford a pocket island.
Too expensive.
True or false, James looks like a boggle-eyed newt. That's false, guys, don't be so mean. You're good friends with James, aren't you? Let's see how well you know James. What is James's favourite Samantha Mumba song? It's a hard question. It's body to body, ladies and gentlemen. It's body to body. James, am I right in saying that recently, it's fine, you had a relationship break up?
You are right.
I'm right. And am I right in saying, James, that during that time you were looking for somewhere to stay?
Yes.
Yes, I'm right. And am I right in saying that having your so-called friends let you down as a place to stay, welcomed you into my own home?
You did indeed.
I did indeed. And having welcomed you into the warm walls of my vagina, didn't you? How did you repay me for that?
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing whatsoever. James was rude about my bed bugs. Yeah, in my house. Okay? And, yeah. I've got bed bugs, guys. I haven't really written anything for this. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah. Got a long list like this to me. Yeah, so I'm going to end now. Thanks for having me, James. This has been emotional. Thank you. James, how's your job going at the tampon factory?
It's the best job I've ever had, period. How's your new job going at the balloon factory?
Up and up.
It's getting me high. It is... Come on, guys. Anything? Bit of a letdown.
Bit of a letdown.
I'm feeling deflated. Thank you. I'm feeling deflated. Should we do one more?
Go for it.
James, how's your job going at the compass factory? When I say compass, I mean the one used in maths, not volunteering.
I feel like I'm going round in circles. I thought it might be awkward having one of my ex-girlfriends doing a spot, but luckily it wasn't. Thanks. Of course, James Benison, I've had a very troubled past with women, haven't I? Yes, I have. boasting a huge number of girlfriends, 47, having had sex with remarkably few of them, due to almost every single one leaving me before I was able to consummate the relationship. Many seemingly disappearing entirely from the face of the earth, which has led to a large number of embarrassing police inquiries. However, all charges were dropped, and they discovered that, despite all appearances, I wasn't a bloodthirsty murderer, just horrendously unpopular. Thirsty for love. Indeed, here are some quotes from women I have slept with. One woman described me as brief. Another commented that I had a surprisingly basic knowledge for someone so old. One said, I had sex with James Bennison once, and I didn't like it. And finally, I don't regret much in my adult life, but I do regret meeting James Bennison. And speaking of unpopularity, do I recognise this voice?
I feel having an accent makes it a bit easier.
Oh my God! It's my only Irish friend, Neil O'Rourke! I like the awkward jazz bit after the drum roll.
Plays out. It's good. Hi, James.
Are you okay?
Okay.
Now, remind me, Neil, where did we meet?
On a street in Fulham.
Fantastic. Tell this story before I ruin your set.
Now the thing with this story is that I'm pretty sure everyone bar 3 people in this room have, bar 4 people in this room have heard this story. I would estimate about 10 times. But, you know, it's all I've got. I also haven't prepared at all. And I didn't write anything on my hand. So I just put my set here. That'll do. And this is if I think of something on stage. I'll just write on and then put it with the set list. I certainly hope I'm the least prepared on the night. Because it doesn't get more prepared than this. France, first of all, just an ex-girlfriend story. When you mentioned about people thinking you might have murdered all your ex-girlfriends, it's always a good way to start your set. There's a guy I know back home who had 3 girlfriends ever, and they all broke up with him to move to France. And we think he might be a murderer because not one of them spoke French. He's gone. I was slightly odd booking for this night because I'll be honest, I've never heard of the show This Is Your Life. I didn't read on Wikipedia about it, I didn't look at YouTube about it. I really don't know anything about it other than that you shout "This is your life" when music plays. So there's that. I'm still happy to do it because I'll be honest, where I come from back home, there was one comedy night in my town, and it burned down. So I'm just happy to have a gig because there's enough. I'm happy that there's enough comedy nights in London to reassure me they can't all burn down, unless London has some sort of history of fires that I'm not aware of. So yes, James Dennison, D-Dog, James D-Day, that's what we call him. What can I say about James Dennison? He's the type of guy who organises a night like tonight, and books people as unprepared as me. That's tight, and doesn't look at me while he texts. It's not worth it.
There's no one coming.
There's no. Tonight or long term.
Certainly not me.
It's an abyss. Life is an abyss. It's coming. You'll keep it light. I'll talk again. I know. What I will say, James is the type of person who, when I got too drunk at his house, he made me stay because he deemed it too unsafe for me to travel from Chiswick to Fulham. I would have thought that's quite a safe journey, but no, because I don't want to do the story because I'm so aware everyone has heard this so many times. It's the rat story.
Yay!
I don't want to be Mickey Flanagan and be like, This is as unprepared as it gets. How will I do it? I suppose I've literally got nothing else. I mean, even on a night with friends, I'm dying. Look at my beard, maybe that'll do something. Change things.
Perspective of the rats.
Yeah, do the.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
What do rats sound like? Opening, I can't do it. I can't do it proper, I can't just the whole circuit.
No, do that.
Let's do it. Drink the beer, it helps.
This is where I'm actually being mugged now, so this is where I'm like, oh yeah, so basically I got mugged by a guy with a rat, for the people who haven't seen it. I'll be honest, I did no preparation for this. Can you tell? I've done nothing.
As a weapon.
Yeah, see, it was a good story when you heard it the first time. Yeah. It's like,
I can see it.
yeah. Massive rat. It was about the size of my grandmother, and she's a small lady, but she'd make for a big rat. If she was a rat, she's 4'10". What a massive rat. You can say it out loud, it's fine.
No, don't destroy the illusion.
You're plenty destroyed. By me, not by you, you've done a great job.
Good.
I'm so sorry that you booked me.
Oh, I'm not. There'd be less audience, wouldn't there?
If nothing else, I provided an audience member. I think that's everything. You think there's a big finish coming, there isn't. There's nothing coming. Okay. Oh yeah, that's it. Let's leave the
Thank you, Neil. It is refreshing to me how many of my friends end their sets with awkward silences. Thanks, guys. Thank you for Neil for coming out of your hovel for this in Fulham. Fantastic. As previously mentioned, guys, I am currently single. Thanks for highlighting that a bit more. I'm going to do a quick story that I think only a small portion of you have heard, because it does involve our next act, who brought me along to try and get me over the loss of regular sex by going to speed dating. Yay! Good cheer if you haven't heard this story. Fantastic. For those of you who haven't been speed dating, it's great. Basically, you've got like 17 to 18 women, and you have 3 minutes to impress each of them into getting them to give you the keys to their vagina. Basically, something like that. And at the end of that 3 minutes, they've got a little card, and they've got 3 options. They've got yes, no, or a very sarcastic friend option. Which means, I like what you're saying, James, but I'm physically repulsed by you. or vice versa, who knows. And basically the next day, if you both ticked yes on your cards, you get an email saying you've got a match. And you can ride off into the sunset together, it's lovely. Or if one of you or both of you ticked friend, you get a friend match, and you never talk to each other ever again. So it works. So the next day, so Alistair, there's 17 women, remember? 17. How many matches do you think I got? 0. Yeah, you're right, yeah. No. For this! They haven't even seen the show. 3 minutes.
could possibly have gone wrong. I'll give you a brief rundown of where I think it might have gone wrong. Basically, the first one, it went like this. It went, basically, the girl said that she was from Kazakhstan. Yeah? So after the first minute of Borat impressions from her, she said to me, what do you touch? She said, what do you do? Like that. And I said, well, I'm a comedian. And she said, oh, that's nice. She said, oh, tell me a joke. Which, as we all know, comedians love that. Always ask for a joke. So I said my favourite joke, some of you might have heard it. What's Mr. T's favourite yogurts? Benadryl! Great stuff. And then spent the next 2 minutes explaining who Mr. T was. That his catchphrase is, I pity the fool. And that penny fully was a yogurt. Just rendering my joke hilarious. Off I had to go to the next one. And then after that, I started panicking when they asked me what I did for a living, so I started making up jobs. So I told most people I was an inventor. They said, what have you invented? I said, oh, have you heard of the bell? Bing! Favourite. And at the end of the day, you know, they might be good for me, weren't they? You know, they weren't taking it seriously, the whole speed dating thing. Not one of them had taken any speed. Like me. But do I recognise this voice?
Hello.
That's right. It's the man who took me speed dating, Chris Joyce. This is my life. Yay! Yeah, let's keep it playing.
Thank you, James. What an evening it was. I first met James at the Musical Comedy Awards 2014. For those that haven't sort of been to one of those, it's a competition for embarrassing white rappers, failed drama students, and cliched guitar wielding double acts.
Fuck you.
James was in Slap and Giggle, who are the latter of those. For people that haven't seen Slap and Giggle performing, essentially they've got two guys. They've got one who's got the talent, who sort of writes the songs and plays the music, and then there's James, who was the untalented void.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
James particularly struggled on the day. His set was awful, people cried. It was 8 minutes of condensed failure. Many of his best friends and family were hanging their heads in shame. Shame because they'd come out to see him and he had failed them. Shame in knowing him, full stop. The evening looked to be on a downer until luckily a tall, handsome keyboard player came on. Tearing up the show, metaphorically and literally, he sounded some hope from the jaws of defeat. James's friends and family had a hero again. Naturally, James Benson was in awe. He approached me after and said, "You're a musical god, like Shiva, Vishnu or Zeus." "Zeus," I said. I thanked James, but in all truth, I would have preferred the comments coming from someone I respected. Not a scrawny white guy with bad hair and pale skin. I would not remember James's name this time. Nor the sections. Or even the third occasion. James sure would remember mine. The next time I saw him, I mean, it might have been the fifth or sixth time. As I just said, James was, I remember everyone, insignificant as a character and a man. I saw him at a poorly run open mic night with low attendance at a bad MC. Yeah. He was at the Georgia 4th pub in Turkey. I realised after a while that the MC was that embarrassing tag-along from Slap and Giggle. He appeared in a bad way. He smelled repugnant, looked rough, as he does now. He was insulting the audience and wet himself on stage. Feeling no shame, he took his clothes off, shouting, "I am the pisser, I am the pisser." I asked James what was wrong. He told me he had fallen on some hard times and was working at a gigolo brothel, whoring himself out to Middle Eastern forex brokers. James told me that he whored himself out to a gang of brokers week in, week out. He told me he was the bitch, the broker's bitch. He told me that he let them spoil his face for a meager sum of £20. He told me a lot that evening. James asked for my help. I said I'll do what I can. Initially,